Hello, screenwriters, and welcome to Writing for Screens, the screenwriting step-by-step project, episode 212, session 212, in which I let you share my screen, look over my shoulder as I write a script. And I am doing this in order to demystify the process of script writing. I do not want to talk about what the greatest script you can write is or what the script that will sell is. I'm just trying to show you a process that I think might help you to get the script out of your head and onto the page. My feeling is everybody writes things their own way. You've got your own style, your own life, your own personality, your own needs, and therefore everyone is going to figure out their own type of script writing that they're going to do. And every single script you write is slightly different. So the only thing that you have to hold on to, the only thing that a writer can really work on in the sense of getting it done is the process of getting it written. Everything else you got to figure out for yourself as you go along. So here I am, letting you watch me walk through it in case you can pick up some helpful tips or tricks or tools. That's what I have to offer. No grand theory, just a bunch of things that I figured out for myself in my 25-year career writing for TV and movies. And now I am letting you watch in case you can pick up a few things for yourself. If it does not seem to work for you, don't do it. It's not like it's the right way. There is no right way. This is just a bunch of things that you can watch in case it helps you. But mostly, if you want to get helped, look at my channel's first 3 playlists: Screenwriting Essentials, Screenwriting Tools, Skills, and Craft, and The Process, Being a Writer. This is where I took the most important things that I could think of to share and put them into little 10-minute lessons, which are really cooked down to the simplest how-to I could figure out. That's what I've got there. That's really where you're going to get the goods. That's what I urge you to take a look at if you have questions. Hello, Word Charm. Glad you could catch me live too. Hello, Di. Hello, Jenna Lewis. I am so glad that everyone is here because we are going to get back to writing, which is really the main thing. Before I start, though, I want to talk about, there's something I saw a great quote today. Patricia Verducci, who is a terrific screenwriting teacher, and a friend of mine, she has a Twitter account, which is up here. I'll put the link in the description at the end of this episode. And so every day she posts a quote mostly about writing. And those quotes are sometimes really, really helpful and encouraging and sometimes just very entertaining. Anyway, this one from Stephen King I thought was really actually kind of a good point, which is I see things. We write enough stories, and every shadow on the floor looks like a footprint, every line in the dirt like a secret message. What he is saying is the more you get into the habit of writing, the habit of thinking like a writer, the more that you make process your main thing, the more that you start to see all the ways you can use stuff. The way when you're watching a movie, you can see something in the plot and you go, oh, I'm going to use that trick. Or when you're watching somebody on the street and they're having a nervous breakdown and a fight with their friend on the phone, you take little mental notes about that. Everything becomes useful once you are making the process an everyday thing. Write enough stories and every line in the dirt seems like a secret message. Anyway, I just thought that was a sort of cool thing to start with, something to think about. Yes, I am still in the rewrite. I am moving ahead in the rewrite. That is today's mission. Hello, Natasha. Hello, Marta Latoso. And Violet Rain, you asked a great question. And the answer is, yeah, actually a little earlier today, I just did a little bit, I cleaned this up a little bit. So I moved us down a page or two because frankly, it's just taking so long to get this done. And I have so many other things I want to do. So what I've decided to do is now and then I'll just sort of polish up a little bit and then I'll show you what I did. But here, the main thing I did was I realized that we had the Are You Okay after I had the Are You Okay after Brenda looks like she might cry. and it was just adding a lot of beats. And so I thought I would just move it all together, say, no, I'm good. I like my team. Are you okay? And then we see that Brenda looks like she might cry. And that's honestly the end of this section of the scene. So I wanted to just have that interrupted. So I said, Brenda looks like she might cry. As she tries to pull it together, Madeline's phone rings. Mad frowns, checking it. I'm sorry, I have to. So that's, I sort of condensed that to try and get the point that the scene has been going in one direction, Madeline and Brenda. We've hit the end of it. Madeline made her decision. She called the game. She said, I am not doing this thing, which obviously is upsetting Brenda, but now we don't care. Brenda's not going to show up again, at least not in this episode. And so therefore, I want the interruption. The whole point of this scene is that we are meeting Madeline and then she's getting interrupted. The billiard ball of her story, if you have watched this video, 3 tips on story, which is one of my videos in my tips to tools and skills and craft playlist. I talk about the idea that a character is like Newton's laws of physics, the billiard ball. Once an object has been put into motion, once a character has been put into motion because something has happened in their life, they will go in that direction until something knocks into it and puts it into another direction. That's how characters work. So Madeline has been going in the same direction for 20 years, okay, or more. And now this phone call is going to knock her into a new direction. So that's what is happening in the scene. So I wanted to make it clear that that moment is a moment of where this thing gets hit. Brenda and Madeline get knocked into by the phone ringing. Okay. So then I just added a couple of yeses and nos and just tried to make this a little clearer. Okay, so this brings us to here. Now let me just, yes, the more I write, the more I find ideas and solutions to what I'm doing everywhere. That is right, Word Charm. You and Stephen King are on the same page, and I think that's a good page to be on. Hello, Biram. Good to see you. Thank you, Cheyenne. It is a great quote. What is the next step after this rewrite? The next step after this rewrite is to talk about how I am not going to do anything with it, but what I would do. When I'm done with the rewrite, I am going to put this away forever. I'm going to put it on the website so everyone can read it and go on to other topics in these live streams. I have lots of things to talk about in these live streams, which I'm not getting to get to. I will also show you a pitch document. I'll make a document which writes out in a few pages what I think the rest of the series would be like, because generally it's a good idea if you've written a pilot to write a little document which teases and gives your vision for the rest of the series, because that's something they're going to want to know. And so it's nice to have it written down. It also helps you to clarify it. When you write things down, you clarify them in your own head. That's one of the main reasons to write it down. A lot of writers spend their time thinking, when I've got it all set in my head, then I'll write it down. That's not actually how it works. The way it works is that the more you write it down, the more it gets clear in your head. So spending your time to write it down. This is really the main message. The work comes when it has a place to go. If you write things down, more ideas come to you. Okay. Natasha, meanwhile, has finished her second TV pilot in 6 days. Wow. Draft 3. Good for you. Keep working. This is very, very, very impressive. Do you outline your pilots extensively before writing them? I write notes in a note app on the iPhone. Extensive as well, you know, you can get pretty extensive in your iPhone. Hello, Orphe. I tried outlining. It wasn't for me, but I heavily encourage it, at least those notes. Yeah, this is important. There is no particular, correct form for outlining. I've given one for when people are struggling with outlining. I have this form in my video, How to Outline. However, Some people, they just work it out in their heads. They can hold it all in their heads, and they write a couple of index cards and they're ready to go. Everyone is different. You don't have to do it anyway. If things are not working the way you do it, that's when you try different ways. If you are not getting things written as fast as Natasha, then you might look at how to outline and why outline, which is another video on the same topic, but just more about the reasons why you might do it. Hello, Jose, how are you? Okay, so now we've gotten to this scene. It's on page 6 of the script at the moment. That obviously will keep changing because as you cut it. So what I did here is I started to rewrite it. First of all, I rewrote this speech, which is now, I cut into 2 parts, but it's really one speech. I rewrote the description of Lieutenant Elms. I said Elms, and then I put the description right afterwards. By the way, I read a really interesting little article which pointed out one of the things that I think is really good to not do is putting the exact age, like 42. The truth is that doesn't matter, and it kind of irritates readers, professional readers. It's understandable that you would want to do it, but truthfully, to say middle-aged, 40s, 20s, teens, that's all you really need. The odds of actually casting someone, I mean, the age, unless their age is going to be a plot point, you don't need to put the exact age. It's better to give it a range. Anyway, so I just called him a middle-aged white guy because that was the picture I had. And then I intercut the speech. The whole point was to try and imply that we are hearing this but seeing other things. So one of the things you do is you cut, you allow the reader's mind to cut between the thing they're seeing and the thing they're hearing, and you break that up with other things we're seeing. See what I'm saying? So what that's doing is it's mentally keeping both tracks alive as you move along. I'm going to pause now to look at Violet's question. Do you have any tips on how to better dramatize theme? How do you find space where you can actually have the character think about the theme? I will talk about that, but major place to look is my video on the subject theme. Go into the main playlists and you'll find that one with the bright purple theme. What I say there is what I'm going to say here. The main thing you want to do is first you want to get the theme into your head, because you want to think about how you think about it, what you feel you want to say about the theme. Remember, a theme is not just a topic. Theme is not like nature. That's not a theme. That may be a theme in elementary school, but in real writing, a theme is a statement of some kind or a question. It's a specific point about a topic. It's not the topic itself. So therefore, when you have a theme like love hurts or love saves the day, whatever it's going to be, then your question is, how does your character relate to it? Because you say, like, the character think about the theme. Well, a character doesn't think about it generically. They're not just saying, I'm going to meditate on the many thoughts of this thing. They have a relationship to the theme, and that's what you want to think about, is what is each character's relationship to the theme. If the theme is love, are they trying to get love? Are they trying to avoid love? What are they feeling about it? Because then that's going to engage them with it. A really great example of that, by the way, is the movie Love Actually, because that's really a great example of variations on a theme. It's about love, but each storyline is a different take, a different approach, a different problem about love, and different types of love. There's the love of a sister for her brother. There's the love of someone for their child. There's all sorts of different types of love, including various relationships where people can or cannot connect. But the whole point is each one has a story in which they are engaging with the question of their relationship to love. Their problem. Their problem is I love someone who's engaged to someone else. My problem, then another one, their problem is, my problem is I'm in love with someone who doesn't speak my language. And in each case, how they deal with that is the steps they will take in the story. So that's how you get people to engage with it and think about it. They will naturally come up with places to think about it when they're engaging with it. Like in Love Actually, there's a very simple storyline about a man who goes away on vacation to work on his novel, and he goes to Portugal and he does not speak Portuguese. And the woman who is taking care of his house, he and she fall in love, but they can't communicate. So one thing that happens is each one of them is trying to behave as their theme would play out. In other words, to feel I am afraid of this relationship, or I am amused by it. Like the woman in that case is kind of amused by the incompetence of the man in that story. Anyway, that's what I'm saying. And you're welcome. So yeah, if you have not seen it, I don't know if there is actually a comma here, but boom, wait a second. Watch, I'm going to make this big, and then it's going to be useful. Big, Love Actually. I think there's a comma, I'm not sure. Anyway, there's a movie called Love Actually, which is a really good example of a theme with lots of different people dealing with it in their own way. One of the things they mostly don't do is actually debate it or discuss it. So that's one of the main things to think about, is really the ways that people discuss this theme is how they say to each other what they are trying to get across. So one of them saying, like, isn't the love between a rock singer and his agent a form of love? So that's it. I would just say the answer is always going to be character. It's going to be the character engages with the theme, and another way you can look at that is through the arc of the character. Building character arcs is one of my videos where I talk about this. Each character has their story. That story will involve this puzzle. Who is it about? Okay, so what they want and why can't they get it, somewhere in there you are going to engage with your theme. And so therefore I would say think about the relationship of the story and the character to the theme, and it will almost freely play out. The other way I would say to look at it is to really, really look at your favorite movies, how they explore the theme, because each one, sometimes somebody will talk about it. Other times it's kind of off screen. It depends. There are many, many, many ways to do this, and you have to find the way that feels natural to you. Can a pilot be 40 pages long? Well, hold on. Sorry. Let me just quickly grab some. Oh, I'm sorry. I missed. Let me just finish up because Violet actually asked a second part of the question. Does each character represent a variation of the theme? No. It can. It's cool if you can do that. But on the other hand, there's some stories where other characters have their own themes. There's like more than one theme. You can do that. I like it when at least there's one variation on the theme somewhere in a story. I like that. It's not necessary. There isn't a single way to approach that. That's the main thing I want to say about this. The key is really to take art apart. Is another video I do on this subject of look at the stuff you like. Because, for instance, like if you take something like The Prestige, where the theme of performing magic is really the question of the cost of performing magic, or the dangers, the emotional and personal dangers of the need to perform a stunning piece of magic, which is actually illusion, is played out by different people in different ways. There's other things where the theme is just, stated in a like in a sense. Like you look at Jaws. I mean, the theme of Jaws is, you know, don't go splashing around in the water with the sharks. It's really not a lot more. Face your fear, maybe, kind of, but honestly, the theme of Jaws is humanity and nature interacting. People should be more respectful of nature. That's one interpretation of the theme. None of these things are deeply explored in Jaws. Jaws is just a great story which takes on a situation which can be themed upon, but the situation is just a cool thing that happens. There's like one or two lines about the theme, and that's it. So, okay. So back to this. Can a pilot be 40 pages long? Here's the deal. It can be. The problem is the traditional size of programming on television and streaming is either 30-minute sections or 60-minute sections. That's the general breakdown. Now and then you get these little animated shows that are 15 minutes, and there's all sorts of different things, but basically 30 minutes or 60 minutes. So the industry standard estimate is 1 page per minute. So a 40-page pilot is kind of a 40-page show. Now, realistically, a pilot for an hour-long TV commercial drama, one on network TV which has commercials, is going to actually lose 20 minutes to the commercials. So that actually is about 40, 45 minutes long. It is expected that a pilot script will fall into a 30-minute or 60-minute category. So you want to try and be in the 30 or 60 range. 40 is a little weird. Does that help? It should. That was the answer. Okay. May I ask a question? Yes, of course. Pinky and the Brain animated series. Which one is genius? The answer is, I don't know. I've never seen it. We will have to turn to the wider audience on the internet for that one. Great, thank you. Yes, it is. Isn't it astounding? I'm astounded. Thank you, Cheyenne. I appreciate that. I know I'm actually not kidding. I kind of do astound. Like I always am amazed that I actually have the answer. My favorite thing is when I see a question and I go, "Oh, I know the answer to that one." Anyway, in 50 scenes. Is 50 scenes, 90 pages okay for a disaster drama? If you are talking, hi Carmen, by the way, I don't think we've ever met. If you're talking about a feature, yes, absolutely. Once again, the industry standard is 1 page per minute. A movie is supposed to be between 90 and 120 minutes, standard size. Disaster drama, honestly, depends, but that's a little short for a disaster drama, but don't worry about it because things expand as they get filmed. So my answer would be, yeah, sounds good to me. Okay, so back to this scene. This originally was 2 separate beats. I'd separated them, and I thought the whole point is, I'm gonna boom. Good, excellent. So yeah, the answer is 90 pages is a good place to be. Absolutely. Cool. Elms can watch Madeline ducking the crimson her wheeled carry-on. Past yes. I'm gonna call this local. Yeah. I just didn't want to use the word van twice. This is the anyway. Now here's the thing. I've got this thing where she stumbles on the cracked driveway, and then she's distracted by the thing. I actually think what I'm going to do here is put these together. And what I want to do is get the idea that oops, I cut the Y off. All right. The picture I have in my head is that Elms is sitting inside the open garage, looking around and listening to the audio, and Madeline is coming towards him, like this, and so he's watching her approach. And what I wanted to show is that she's looking around, taking it all in. And then I wanted her, because now we've got the George died in the driveway, in the yard. And so actually, I'm going to copy this and move it to George's death so that, all right. Okay. Okay, so what I'm going to get to here, yeah, that's the idea. I wanted to, I'm glad. Crime Crackers, it's actually growing on me as a title. Okay, so, Madeline's suitcase. Sees and she what I'm trying to do with the picture I have here is that she's walking towards him. She's got this, little wheeled luggage, and it gets snagged on the cracked driveway. So she turns to free it. She sees the chalk outline. Backs away. Backs away is not fast enough. And what's the word for like jumping back? This is too wordy. Stumble, staggers, those aren't right. Hastily backs away. Yeah. Oh, that's not a bad idea. Flinches. Yeah, yeah. Good. Thank you, Paloma. Thank you, Paloma. Let's see. This is all logistics. What I'm doing right now is I'm trying to keep the flow with the characters, with the not just like beat, 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 but to follow the scene. See, so far this actually was pretty good. Does he get, here's what I'm thinking, does he get up and go to her? The nice thing would be if he got up and went to her, but I don't think he does. So I'm trying to mentally stage it. This is not the important thing about mentally staging a scene, blocking it, as they say on the stage, which means figuring out where people are standing and what they're doing while they discuss something or play out the scene. You are not actually blocking it. You are not having to solve this problem in the real world. You don't even know what the actual location is going to look like, and you don't know how the director wants to film it. But you do want to block it in your mind. Hold on. Mind. You want to block the scene in your head so that you can have it play out in your imagination and describe that in such a way that that helps the audience stay involved in the moment. That's really the whole game, is to keep the audience feeling, the reader feeling like the thing that you're describing is actually happening. As they read it, they have to think, this is happening right in front of my eyes. So that's all I'm doing, is I'm staging it in my head. I'm saying, okay, right now he's at the desk in the garage. She's in the driveway outside the garage. Is this scene going to play out in the garage? I'd like it to. So that means he's got to get her in there. Does he wait for her to come in? Is that what you do? Mentally staging? Yes. empty room. No, that's absolutely the way I do it. Is I actually imagine what's happening. I personally kind of picture it filmed, but not really. It's almost like it's really happening. I have to describe it in such a way as to involve the reader as if they're like a little, floating angel who can watch the moment. And I'm steering them. Oh, this is what's happening here. Now pay attention to that. The director will do whatever the director is going to do. But the way I do it is, and this is not required, but it seems helpful to me, is I think, when does somebody have to be in the room? When does somebody have to go into the closet? When does somebody have to go look out the window? When do they get closer to each other? These are the things that you want to mention in the description of what they're doing, for the purpose of keeping the reader oriented to the drama of the scene, to the action of the scene. Okay. I see your question, Oreno, and Jose's. And I'm going to get to them in a second. But right now I'm trying to just get this decision made, which is the polite thing would be for Elms to get up and walk over to her. But he's not. He's deliberately not being polite. There we go. Yeah, that was good. It's my case. Elms. Yeah, like I said, Elms. Let's see. I just try not to over describe, but he sighs. No, nah, he's not going to do that. Sorry. That's it. Look at that. Okay. This is a little too many adjectives, but I'll get to it. Okay, now I will take a pause and do the questions. Say your main character has a secret that will be revealed in the climax. How can you break the secret into small reveals throughout the story to tease? Well, you just kind of said it. That's how you do it. How do you do it? You figure out what the secret is and what the steps are, the small reveals, and then you figure out where to put them. I mean, you answered your own question. Absolutely. That is exactly how you do it. The other thing that you want to do is if they've got a secret that will be revealed in climax, you want to make sure that those reveals are meaningful in other ways. In other words, that there's a reason for each of the small reveals, that there is some scene, some action where someone needs to tell or ask someone the thing that will reveal that bit of information for some other reason than the big reveal secret that's later on. In other words, very often you'll learn things about a character for one reason and then later go, oh, that's why they XYZ. So that's the answer. I mean, really, the answer is you do what you just said. You break it into small reveals. The how you do that will depend on what the sorry, I get distracted. I get so distracted when I see a thumbs down. What was it? Tell me why you thumbs down me. I'm always curious. What was that? What did I say or do or not do? Anyway, okay. So the answer is the actual how do you break it will depend on what the actual things are and the characters are. That's specific to the story. But the overall question is, if you want something to be revealed in the climax, you definitely want to break small reveals. Like, think about what the main part is. What's the big secret? And then think, what information are you going to need so that you don't have to explain it at that big reveal? There's just a single thing that you reveal, and it pulls together the other small pieces. There isn't a more specific rule about that, except yes, you want to do that. Does that make sense? Yes. Okay. So back to talking about theme. Yeah, absolutely. That's a case of what I was saying. The different projects, different works of art will put the theme in different places and have more or less theme. That's the other thing. I mean, like, you get something like the before sunrise, the sunrise, sunset, whatever trilogy, or something like Citizen Kane actually has a lot of themes. You get something like like I said, Jaws. It doesn't got a lot of themes. Predator doesn't have a lot of themes. Seven has a bunch of themes. Yeah. So I guess what I'm saying is the number of thematic elements and the amount that it's going to be discussed is a critical artistic choice you make. I think that the whole point about this trilogy, I don't know what to call that, because it's sunset, sunrise. I can't remember the third one. But anyway, the point is the Times of Day trilogy by Linkletter, starring Ethan Hawke and Julie Delpy, right? Julie Delpy, right? Is that they are people who have this brief time together in which they are exploring thoughts and themes, feelings, ideas, and their communication, they're talking about it, is part of the action, the story. So that's like way up top. That's right there. There's other stories where it's not so much. So that would be my answer. Then you take something like Encanto, which is actually, I mean, honestly, they're talking about the themes a lot, but the themes are the plot. So there you go. So I just how do you know how much description is needed? The answer is it's a rhythm thing. It's a how much is needed, as little as possible. And the best way I know to go about it is to write as much as you need to get it down there, and then over and over you go through it and you see what you can cut. That's really the best way I know. I don't think you want to start at the most minimal. Eventually you get to where, as a sort of screenwriting minded, you stay pretty minimal. But really, it's better, as you've seen when I'm writing this thing, to just throw down a lot of stuff, and then you try and say, well, which is the one? What's the one that I need to get? And then which ones can I reduce or put in different places, stuff like that. So that's the answer is make sure you write it down. Make sure you describe it as needed, and then see how much you can streamline it, just because screenplays require fast reading. I'm glad you like that, because that's all I got. I actually like doing it too. Thank you. Yeah, I agree. I think that themey films and shows are great. Yes, Soul. There's another. Yeah, you're not going to find a Pixar movie that doesn't have some juicy themes, and they're interwoven into the action and into the characters in such a way that they are being discussed both as story and as theme. That's wonderful stuff. Well, Nala, I think you will. If you want to, if you have that aspiration, that's the first step towards doing it. Then you have to practice it. The main thing about learning how to do something is you practice it. You also, your themes tend to be weak, started with the theme. I don't think you have to start with it. I think you have to think about it. And I really, really, really urge you guys to look at this, because I talk in depth about what it is and how you find it. And I really, this is a good video, especially on this topic. Carmen follows my characters around and I write what they do. It's an adventure. Yeah, I would say the only thing about following a character and writing what they do is depending, and this is not a requirement, but in general, you're going to have to rewrite to shape that thing, because actually following every step of a story is usually too many steps. The main thing about I personally think it's not a bad idea to try and arc out, to think out where the story is going to end, because if you don't do that, you'll get to a good ending. But many of the things that you would have done in the beginning to lay in or prepare or raise questions about that ending may not be there because you didn't know you were going. So that just means you have to go back and rewrite that, which is fine. Some people write that way. It is not a problem. Well, you know, the main thing, how you do that is what you struggle with. I would say the main thing is just remember two things. One, if you just want to reveal the secret, maybe that's okay. Depends. I mean, it's so dependent on what the secret is, what your story is, and how it's being revealed. There's not a right or wrong. No, it's not a bad question at all. It's actually a good question. The answer, unfortunately, is bad in that you have to figure that out. The answer is it's so particular to the work that the only thing you want to do is make sure that you have the ambition to do it, to break it up, to reveal it. That's cool. Yeah, the main thing is if all you want to do is have a reveal, which that reveal is like, whoa, the main thing about that is in order to get to that place, you've got to have a completely legitimate story that exists without that secret. What I like to call the wrong story. In other words, if you're going to pull off a twist of some kind or reveal a secret, we can't spend 2 hours saying, oh, there's something I don't know here. I'm going to need to find out later. The audience needs to think they know what's going on and have a legitimate story that they are following, which is wrong because the secret that is going to be revealed. When it's revealed, they can go, oh, you see, I thought it was this, but it's actually that. We don't want to just sit there going, I don't know what's going on. I hope somebody explains this, because that's what a big reveal doesn't work at. Yeah, so yes, absolutely. Thank you. I appreciate that. The Before Trilogy. And hello to you, Alex. Yes, cool. Oh, is it? Are they all befores? Before Sunset, Before Sunset? Yes, you're right. It's the Before Trilogy. Cool. Okay, if you have the ending, you just see what you get. Good, whatever works. Honestly, this is the most important thing. Whatever works for you, do. That's the main rule of writing. Do what works and don't do what doesn't work. When I finished my last screenplay, I found it didn't have a theme and didn't need one. I would only say that it probably has one that you don't recognize or don't consider good enough or big enough or theme enough. But the truth is, any encounter or event or story has a theme because it's about something. And as soon as it's about something, people can read into it whatever the story is. They can read a meaning into it. A lot of like old Westerns and stuff, someone would say, oh, it's just an old Western. It doesn't have a theme. But it does. It has themes about courage or about revenge or whatever it is. There's a story there. And as soon as you have a story and someone takes an action about a story, you are creating a statement. You are saying revenge is worth losing everything for, or revenge is never going to satisfy you. Either one of those endings, and that's why I like to know the ending, states a theme. Could it be? Yes, absolutely. And what's more, you don't have to be. You do not have to be aware of your theme. Just be aware that someone else may find it in there. And also, remember, different people will judge different stories, the same story, differently. Theme is a matter of interpretation. So therefore, something that somebody could think, I am writing something and it has no theme, but what they're saying is crime doesn't pay, or family saves everyone, whatever it is, you're saying things. And so for me, it's always worth thinking about that, because first of all, you could probably say it stronger if you know what you're saying. And second of all, you don't want to actually say something you don't mean. That's it. A lot of people say things they don't mean in the movie business because they're saying what they think the system wants, the business wants, the audience wants. So they'll say like, oh, the audience loves when it turns out that the hero gets killed at the end of a horror movie because it's such a shock. But what that says is basically life is meaningless and it's not the greatest thing you want. You don't necessarily want to say that. You have to think about what you're saying. Oh, yay, great. Yes, movies that are just making you wait for something are very unsatisfying. Okay. Do you have any book recommendations about tips to not alienate your audience or gimmicks that work as right? Not books, no. And that's sort of like the everyday task of writers. Tips not to alienate your audience. I mean, essentially, you're just phrasing "be a good writer" in a negative way, not alienate your audience. And let's face it, there's some writers who want to alienate their audience. You get a good punk or Dada writer, and they're getting in your face trying to alienate you. So I would say, no, all of them. My answer would be that the thing you want to do is constantly be on the lookout for tips and recommendations. And this is sort of a good place to end. So we'll head there. My main theory is, look here. Theories are tools, and what you want to do is, do I have this? I have it. Yeah. Okay, here it is. Know every theory and rule and formula you can, and then only use them when and where they work for your project. So the answer is, what you want to do is spend every day, just go on the internet, read Script Magazine or Backstory. I love that. Or listen to podcasts, and you'll hear little tips every day. There's whole Instagram feeds that have tips. Everybody's got tips. Tips are a dime a dozen. The answer is, what you want to do is like read through every screenwriting book you can afford to look at and take the tips that matter to you, that help you, because there aren't any right or wrong tips. There's just tricks, tools, things to do. Okay. And now we're heading to Lucas. Lucas, hi. Very nice to meet you. Talking about themes, what would you consider the theme of Pulp Fiction? I love this movie, but my honest view so far is that it's a lot of interesting stories connected in a very interesting way. Yes. Here's the thing about Pulp Fiction. I have not seen it in a couple of decades. I saw it when it came out in the theaters. I saw it 2 or 3 times since then on various home mediums, but I haven't seen it in about 20 years. So I'm a little uneasy about interpreting it based on my memory because I only remember fragments. I mean, this is one of those cases where there are going to be various themes. This is this is tricky. I don't feel qualified to answer that question. The themes, there are separate themes in the separate stories. The question is, what is the overarching theme? And I can't help but think that it's going to come back to the Samuel L. Jackson's Bible story. But I can't remember that in detail enough. But there is also entirely the possibility, especially with someone like Tarantino, where you're getting just, I think this is cool, I think this is cool. And there may be some talk afterwards about meaning, but I don't know that he's always operating from theme or meaning. I think he's often operating from, ooh, this is cool. I find a lot of his work disorganized theoretically, but that's fun. There's nothing wrong with that. I would have to watch it again to really get the theme of Pulp Fiction. Wrote a short story and thought it was genius, but my girlfriend was not used at all to art or philosophy, told me one part could be seen as offensive. Well, that can happen. First of all, check if it might be offensive. It's always possible that something that you write, ask Tarantino, there's something that you write in the moment of your burst of creativity and this is cool is in fact offensive to somebody. You have to decide whether or not it's worth it to you to offend them. Did you intend to offend them? And if you did intend to offend them, what's the point of that? But sometimes people do intend to offend. So my answer or thought on Good Content's message would be, take seriously how people react, but don't spend all your time trying to avoid offending because you never know. It could be something just you feel like you want to say. The theme of, and that is, by the way, a highly debatable stance. I am not saying that's absolute. I'm saying that's my personal approach. The theme of Pulp Fiction comes to the end with Jules. Not sure, but I think it's walking a righteous path. Yeah, Jules, that's the guy. All right. But there are multiple themes, yes. Yeah. Okay. Well, did the best I can. One day when I watch it again, I'll try and be more coherent. Okay. So listen, tomorrow is another day, which is a theme. And so in the meantime, go write something.